Well, good. Wow, that's really loud, huh? Apparently, my wife's not doing the soundboard today. Good morning, Loon Mountain Ministry. How are you guys? You guys have made me so excited because I was like, oh, the weather, back to school, there'll probably not be anybody here. Was I wrong? So cool to see you. And I really want to say thanks to our musical team. These guys, last minute, thank you, had to pull this together. Usually you see like a 6'8" tall kid up here leading it. Well, he and his wife just had their third baby girl on Friday, right? Farah is her name. Healthy baby, healthy mom, so we're really excited. And so Drew and Trish and Evie and Isla back there excited. And so we're excited to have them. But how many, this is your first time in a Mountaintop Church service out here? Well, welcome. This is really cool. It's an experiential worship service. Today you're going to hear the service. You'll also feel the service. That's for free. But we love going to church outdoors, and we love it because we think this is a good representation of what heaven might look like. You don't know who's sitting behind you or in front of you. We have different color skin. We might have different ways we think, but we're here to worship the same God and to praise him, and we're joining the mountains and the trees. How many have ever gone to church in a cloud before? I'm sure you felt like it before, early morning on a Sunday, but you are actually at church in a cloud. So welcome. We're really glad. Well, one of the things we love to do is find out where everyone is from. So if you're from outside of New England, raise your hand. If you're outside of New England, yes, that includes you, New York. Where's my New Yorkers? Right? You guys are all my New Yorkers. Hi, guys. Anybody else from New York up back there? One New York right there. You're from Rochester, right? You guys are from Rochester, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Where in New York are you from, bro? The city. All right, actually, New York. Awesome. Okay, how about anybody from the West Coast? Anybody from the flyover states? Do we have any Southern folk? I met someone from Michigan. Where's my Michiganders? No? No one from Michigan? No? All right. Well, guess we'll go back to New England. Any Vermonters this morning? Vermont, you in the house? No? Yeah, you were always from Vermont. I like it. Way to go. Mainers. Any Mainers? Did you guys come over here? Probably too foggy. You couldn't find it. Yeah. But Mainers, no. How about Connecticut? I did meet some folks from Connecticut up and back and over here. Welcome. We appreciate your county of Connecticut. Rhode Island. I met some roadies. Any more Rhode Island out there? No? Okay. Cool. How about Massachusetts? Where's my Massachusetts crowd? Woo! You guys are awesome. And then how about the Shire? Who's from New Hampshire? All right, all my locals. That's cool. We're really glad you're here at Loon Mountain Ministry. We're so thankful for this ministry and what we get to do. If you get a chance, thank a Loon Mountain employee for being here today. Thank them for letting us do this. You know, they don't have to do this, and it's really cool that they let us come up here and do it. Join me in prayer. We say at Loon Mountain Ministry, you don't have to close your eyes because you don't want to miss anything, especially a gray cloud. I promise there is a beautiful view of the Pemigewasset Wilderness right there. It's so cool. Jesus, we love you, and we love you that it doesn't matter what the day is like. We can come to you in faith. We can come to you trusting that you are who you say you are, and you will do what you say you're going to do. This morning, God, we praise you that we have the freedom to meet up here. We're thankful for that, God. We think about, God, the folks that are in the Middle East right now and how upside down it is. We just feel so sometimes helpless when we watch, but we can pray, God. And your spirit exists throughout the globe. There's no place that you are not. And we ask this morning that you would make yourself real and known to the people that are just in such the worst situation. We thank you for Drew and Trish and little baby Farah and her welcoming to the earth here. It's so cool to have her, and we're excited to meet her. We're thank you for this space and time that we can join the rivers and the mountains and the trees and proclaim your goodness. Help us, God, to put our faith, hope, and trust in you no matter what we're going through. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Feel free to stand if you'd like, but if you want to keep your bench dry, feel free to sit. Just sing with us.
Worship you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Nathan. This is River. Say hi, River. He's kind of shy. Anyways, welcome to Loon Mountain Ministry. It is so wonderful to have you guys here. I'm going to direct your attention to the back of your bulletins, and I'll just kind of go through some announcements. There we go. Awesome. It's so wonderful that you guys can be here. Welcome to the Mountaintop Church service. Much like life, a lot of our lives is hard to see beyond, and that's what we're experiencing today. We don't get to quite see the perspective that we usually do, but it's a cool principle that God is still at work, and He's still doing beautiful things even though we can't see it. Some of the beautiful things that He does through our ministry, and we're super grateful to be a part of it. This is the Mountaintop Church service. Down in town, there is actually a local church body that meets as well. They meet at 9 a.m. So if you're ever in town and you can't make it up to the top of the mountain, check that out. They're going to be going all the way until Columbus Day while we're up here on top of the mountain worshiping. So check that out if you can't make it up here at 9 a.m. Also, you'll see there's some summer Waterville services. So Waterville Valley is a ski resort just south of here, and God's been doing a work in their town to do a similar kind of mountain ministry that we have up here. And so they have a couple services going on. Typically, they're about 2 a month. You'll see the next one is September 12th. And that's just right down in Waterville at Snows Mountain. It's kind of like the old Waterville overlooking the new ski resort. So check that out. That'll be September 12th, and I think they meet at 9 a.m., right? Is that right, Marcus? Thank you, yeah. If you have questions about that or questions about anything on here on the bulletin, feel free to reach out. You'll see at the bottom we have our emails. You can email just a general to the info@loonmtnministry.com or reach out directly to Marcus, our senior pastor, Drew, our associate pastor, myself, or our thrift store manager, Heidi Corey, which is Marcus's wife. But that's a cool way to ask questions, figure out who we are, or what we're doing, or anything like that. I'm the youth pastor here, and we do youth group every Wednesday night. So I understand a lot of people are here from different places, and that's beautiful. If any of you guys stick around during the week in the same way that we welcome people from all different churches and all different places, the youth group would be happy to welcome kids who are from different places to come join us for youth group. We do that at Wednesday nights at my house. That would be a good thing. If you wanted to ask more questions about that, talk to me after the service, or you can send an email to nathan@loonmtnministry.com, and I'll point you in the right direction there. There's lots of opportunities to get involved throughout the week through different Bible studies. You can see some of them on here, but we'd love to just continue the worship together with all you guys throughout the week. We believe that church doesn't just happen on a Sunday morning. Church is the people, and so when the people gather in God's name, beautiful things are happening. If you're going to hang out, we also love mountain biking, and you'll see on there's something called Dirt Church. That's something that's unique to this year. It's just a funny play on words. But essentially, we want to love and support Loon for doing it. We love mountain biking, and so we want to be intentional and point people to Jesus while we are out mountain biking. So after church on Sunday at the top, we go down to the bottom, which is where Seven Brothers lift. That's the lift you take. And we'll meet there at 1:15. And if you're interested in joining us, we'll spend hopefully a couple minutes in prayer there. And then essentially we just bless the lifties and other people who are out on the trails with us with fruit snacks or different stuff like that. So if you want to join us for Dirt Church and you already got your mountain bike here and you're ready to go rip up the trails, come find me after the service. I think that's about it. I think I'm going to have Marcus come on up, or are they singing another song? They are singing another song.
Your mercy never fails. breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of
Good morning, Loon Mountain Ministry. Thank you for coming out this morning. What a beautiful cloud we are in for service this morning. Today our reading is from Ecclesiastes 6, verses 1 through 6. So go ahead and use your outdoor voices to read with me, please. There's another serious tragedy I have seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want, but then he doesn't give them the chance to enjoy these things. They die, and someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless, a sickening tragedy. A man might have 100 children and live to be very old, but if he finds no satisfaction in life and doesn't even get a decent burial, it would have been better for him to be born dead. His birth would have been meaningless, and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even have had a name, and he would have never seen the sun or known of its existence. Yet he would have had more peace than in growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment. And since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use?
All right. That was uplifting. I would like to turn your attention to something a little bit more uplifting than that before I have to dig into that. My friends Brian and Katrina back here, this is their 6th anniversary. They got married right here, 6 years ago. But what I'm really excited about is one of the prayers that we have at Loon Mountain Ministry is that this movement of ski resort ministries wouldn't just be here, that it would go out throughout New England and throughout the world. And one of the things that we have seen is the effectiveness of sharing the love of Jesus Christ in an outdoor experiential way. It really is cool, and it's no secret that the traditional church is not really growing in America at the moment. We're praying that happens again, but in the meantime, we're going to go meet the people where they're at outside. And these guys have been praying the last year, I think a year ago, right today, that they've been praying about starting it at their ski resort at Gunstock down in a little bit in central New Hampshire. And God has opened doors, and they're going to start this winter at Gunstock Mountain, which is really cool doing church. So if you would do me a favor, put a hand towards those guys over there and join me in prayer for Gunstock. Lord, you are so good, and you knew exactly when this ministry would start and who you would call to it. You've opened doors to this ministry. You have stirred hearts to have the vision for this ministry. And God, you will not leave it high and dry. You will provide funds. You will provide ways. You will provide open doors. And we've already just been witness testimony to that. Thank you for reminding us that you are real, that you are good, and that you are still moving. And this is really cool. So we love this, God. We support it wholeheartedly. To your name we pray. Amen. You're very welcome. Super cool. I'd rather preach about that than what that verse was about. But before I move on, lots are going on. We want to support movements like that. This morning we had a church service over at Waterville Valley Ski Resort, and we had a service in town. God is doing a lot, and I'll be honest, it's like been hard for me to trust him with the finances. And I always, this is the awkward part, but I'd love to ask you guys to support us. This is the way you can do it. If you're on the end, you can pass this down. In here is a communication card. If you would just put on it, if you've never gotten our newsletter or our email updates, we'd love to hear from you guys. If we can pray for you, flip it over on the back, write a prayer request. We have a prayer team that prays every week for people all over the world, which is cool. And then if you guys can support us, you can support us this way by dropping it in the back there. You can also support us on the back of your bulletin. You can click the QR code, brings you to a PayPal. If you can support this movement, that would be incredible. Our favorite way that you support us, though, is hanging out with us. We just love. We're a relational ministry. And like I said, we started the service off. You have supported us already. You've come out in the rain. Well, this isn't really technically rain. You've come out in the cloud, and that has really made us encouraged. So, okay, here we go. So one of the things that we have been faithful to at Loon Mountain Ministry is just working through God's Word and working right through books. And I remember when I first started here in 2012, and there was some friends here that was like, hey, is Skip still around? Where'd my friends go? They were like friends with Skip, which is super cool. Skip and Joyce are doing great. They actually just celebrated, I forget what anniversary it was, but they met in Bar Harbor, Maine, and so they're just on vacation up in Bar Harbor, but they live in Georgia now. Skip and his wife founded this ministry in 1990. Any rate, when I first came, I'll be honest with you, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, because back then there wasn't a team, and I was just going to try to do what Skip does, which is really hard because Skip's just incredible, right? I was like, how am I going to have enough sermon material for 52 sermons a year? And then when that year's over, I got to do 52 more. I'm thinking, what in the world? But then I started with the Sermon on the Mount, which is 101 verses, and it took me close to 2 years. And I was like, all right, I guess we're going to do this. All right. And so I've been here almost 10 years now, and we've just been going right through. And about 2 years ago, we looked around. It was pre-pandemic. We looked around the room at our staff meeting, and we're like, my word, our average age on this staff is like 30. We have energy. We have passion. We have vision. We lack wisdom. None of our hair is white. Now, since then, I've got white in my beard and white in my hair, so wisdom is coming. But we said we need to study the books of wisdom. And so we opened up Job, Ecclesiastes, and Proverbs, and we looked through them. I honestly was like, I don't want to preach through Job. That looks rugged. And I don't know about you, but I'm someone, if I don't want to do something, I'm going to do that first. I want to get that out of the way. So I was like, all right, Job, let's go. And we opened the book of Job, and we found out that Job was this wise old sage, someone that you could sit at their feet and listen to their stories for days, because their stories are just so different than our world, right? It's that classic grandparent that said they walked to school up hills both ways in the snow 9 months a year. Remember those stories from Grammy and Grandpa? Life just seemed hard. But even though it seemed hard, you're intrigued by their stories, and they seem like such cool people. Well, that's cool. Hey, buddy. So Job was this old sage, and we found out from Job that God is God and we are not. And that can either make you go, oh, thank the Lord, or it can make you go, oh, I'm mad at God, right? Those are really those two options. It's really hard to read the book of Job and be like, God, I don't really know. You either go, thank the Lord that God is God and I am not, or you go, no, I want to be God, and you grab the steering wheel and usually put it in the ditch. But at any rate, that's Job. And then we turned to this book called Ecclesiastes, and we likened it, and we learned this from the Bible Project, we likened it to like your old uncle that was single, that has like 3 doctorates, not married, but has like traveled the world, has a library full of books and smokes a pipe. And you learn from Grammy and Grandpa, like the book of Job's, all these beautiful traditions of faith and Christianity and the bedrock of the God's word. And then you walk into your uncle's, room with all of his books, and he goes, oh, you really believe that, huh? And then he blows smoke over all that you believe. And that word meaningless in the book of Ecclesiastes actually means smoke. Hevel is its original word. Hevel means vapor or smoke. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. That's how the book starts. And I was like, wow, this is a downer. But we've been saying, all right, Lord, well, if we need wisdom, then what can we learn from the book of Ecclesiastes? And we've been learning all kinds of things. And so now I'm directing your attention to the start of chapter 6. If you look in your bulletin, the start of chapter 6, he starts out by saying, I have seen another evil. I have seen another atrocity. Folks, this is incredible because this is being taught by the wisest person, arguably, who ever lived. And that's, historians even agree with that. That's not just a Christian thought. That this King Solomon was the wealthiest, but also wisest person who ever lived. And he says, I've observed the world, and I've seen another atrocity. Americans, me included, you have to listen to this. This is pointed right at you and I. This is a really, really hard one, okay? Because if you back up, because he says, I have seen another atrocity. So he's talked about a couple atrocities, a couple evils, a couple things that are just crazy. And you know what each one of them about? They're about people that have too much money, time, wealth, and food. Let me say that again. Each one of these atrocities, he doesn't look out through the world and go, oh my goodness, that famine's awful. Those are awful. But this author's not talking about it right now. He looks out through the world and says, it's an atrocity when people hoard wealth, when people do not use their wealth for the glory of God, when they're not satisfied, when they're not content, and they store up all their wealth, and then what happens to them? They die. Right? And it's what your grandpa used to say. You never see a U-Haul following a hearse. You can't take it with you when you go. Right? So now we get to chapter 6, and he said, I have seen another atrocity. And he's saying the same thing in a different way. That someone has all of this stuff, actually gets all of their heart's desire, one translation says, and then they just die. And they're never content with it. It says God gives them everything that they desire, but yet he doesn't allow them to enjoy it because they either die early or they don't enjoy it. And then it goes on to say, you could live 1,000 years, have 100 children, have everything you want, but if you are not content in it, it would be better off if you weren't born. Let me say that again. You could live 100 years, have everything your heart desires, but yet if you're not content, it would be better off if you weren't born. All right. What's the opposite of contentment? Worry, anxiety, despair, depression, right? Those are the opposite of contentment. So I looked up, what are the most anxious, worried, depressed countries in the world? Okay? And they talked about the different percentages. Percentages of people that identify as anxiety or anxious, worried, and depressed, over 30% of the population. There was one color of the globe. This is from the W8, what do they call it? HOA? No, World? WHO, thank you. The WHO, thank you. The WHO. WHO. I'm bad with acronyms because I can't spell. Anyway, this is from the World Health Organization. And if your country had 30% or more identifying as anxious, depressed, or worried, you were in this really dark red. You know who it was? It's crazy. It wasn't us, actually. I thought it was going to be. It was Afghanistan, which makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then it was Greenland, which also kind of makes a lot of sense. But then it's really cold there, and the sun never shines. And then it was Australia and New Zealand. Australia, New Zealand, Afghanistan, and Greenland have the highest percentage of suicide rate, the highest percentage of anxiety, worry, and depression. It's over 30%. Then the next one was over 20%. And you guessed it, we were leading in the over 20%. America was first, then it was Canada, Spain, France, Italy, Switzerland, the Netherlands, what's the big ones up there? Finland, Norway. Then there was ones down like Argentina and Chile. Those were all the next ones that were 20% or more. Other than Afghanistan, what do all of these countries share in common? They are all first world. They are all first world. And if you go into gross domestic product, what countries are worth the most, well then Afghanistan comes right back up to the top again. I mean, Afghanistan's worth a lot. America's worth a lot. Australia is. New Zealand. So don't you find it interesting that a portion of Scripture that was written over 4,000 years ago is explaining to us exactly what I Googled this week? What are the most depressed countries? Oh, it coincides with the countries that have the most money. Well, that's kind of weird. Now, you could be a skeptic, and rightfully so, and say, well, probably these countries have clinics and have actual ability to take data and actually know. How many people know who's actually depressed or whatever in a third world country? That's probably an okay argument. How many have traveled to a third world country before and spent time in a third world country? How depressed did you find them? I didn't find them depressed. I've spent a lot of time in third world countries, right? I studied abroad in one, actually, and I found people that had nothing but were a blast to be around. Did you notice that? A blast to be around. Wake up, guys, me included. And this scripture was written 4,000 years ago. This is truth. It gives me goosebumps to talk about it because this is truth. We're tapping into truth that's older than us, older than anything. And here's what I have found is contentment. This is what I found. Because you know what? Having things like a 401k, or having things like 1, 2, or 3 homes, or having things like a vacation, or having things like kids that go to the correct college, or having things like 2, 3, or 4 cars, those aren't wrong. It's not wrong. And we have obviously seen people that have had those things and have been very contented. Have you noticed that? Paul says this in the book of Philippians. He says, I have learned the secret of being content with much and with little. He said, I've learned the secret of being content when I am full and when I'm empty. I've learned the secret of being content when I'm rich and when I'm poor. I've learned the secret of being content when I have great health and when, boy, I'm on death row. Right? Like, what's interesting about that is you and I would say, oh, the secret must be somehow to be content with little. Or the secret must be somehow to be content when you're sick or maybe going to die. That should be a secret, right? No, the secret actually is harder to be content when you're financially stable and when you have good wealth and opportunity, right? Because if you think about it, Dr. Jordan Peterson said it like this the other day, and I was like, whoa. He goes, if you are a 2-career home, which that's 90% of us here, right? You're a 2-career home and you have 2 children in America. He goes, if you add up what you are working and what you need to do for those kids, for their soccer and their ballet and their music and their science and their friends and their camps and their opportunities, he goes, that's a 140-hour-a-week job between the husband and the wife. No wonder we're anxious. Like, even the people that had farms back in the day didn't do that. They didn't do that. They worked really hard when the sun came up, and they worked really hard till the sun went down, and then they went to bed, right? But we push it. We burn the night oil. We can because we're always connected. I'm talking to you right now, connected. You know, right? We're always connected. And so, but here's what's interesting that you find about the secret. And this is the secret. That every gift that you have, your husband, your wife, your kids, your job, your church, your food, your house, your vacation, your 401k, your ability to have discretionary cash, those are all gifts from God. Now, a lot of Christians admit that. But then we don't go to the next part. Those gifts are from God. But we often forget what they are for. And this is the true formula of contentment. That you know that they are from God, and that you also know that they are for His glory. And that's where we, me included, Christians, mess it up. Because, you know what, we're willing to say, oh, I know, it's from God. It's from God. But yeah, you're living in a way, though, that it's for you. Marcus, this ministry is not for you. I get to be a part of it, and that's cool and all, and it is super satisfying to be a part of it, but it's satisfying when I realize it's not for me. Because when I think it's for me, I begin to ask this ministry to do things for me that it can't. Like make me satisfied, make me feel whole, give me a sense of identity. And I'm willing to be honest with that. But are you that way with your job? That you are like, you're willing to give God credit that He gave it to you, but you think that it is for you. And now you're asking your job to give you your sense of self-worth, identity, right? And if that's you, you're kind of sitting there going, But if you're a mom, you're like, see, it's not me. Oh, really? But your kid's sitting right next to you. Is your kid for you or for God's glory? Because when you release your kid to be for God's glory, you give them freedom and yourself freedom. And see, we love to, as Christians, point to somebody else who has this horrible thing going on in their life and make ourselves feel better about it. Whether it be drugs, a broken marriage, or, getting caught cheating on something, their taxes or whatever, or a gambling problem. And we love to just hang our hat and be like, that's not me. All the while we are worshiping our children, or worshiping our ministry, or worshiping our financial security or our vacations. It doesn't matter what you put above God, even if it's a good thing. It's not supposed to be there. All gifts are from God, and all gifts are for His glory. And I'm wondering what's better. Is it better for someone to go, I don't like that? That sounds like a selfish old jerk. God sounds like a selfish old jerk. That everything is from Him, and ultimately just all is back for Him. And I don't want to believe in that, so peace out. I think that's actually a better approach than being a Christian and give God lip service that it's from Him, but while you passively aggressive take all the things for your kingdom and your glory. I think that's a bigger travesty. I think it would be better off to be like, I don't want to play that game, this God game where it's from him and for him, so I'm out. I think that's better than doing this like, oh yeah, God, thank you, and be like, stuff in your pockets, right? I've heard my mom say that the fruit of the Spirit, if hoarded, rots and attracts fruit flies. The fruit of the Spirit is to give away. The gifts of God are to give away. Now, I have met people that are filthy rich because they are just shrewd Scrooges. Have you met them before? Right? They are really rich, but they're not generous at all. They wear shoes till they fall apart. They wear clothes till they fall apart. They drive a hunk of junk, but you look at their bank account and it is ginormous. I've met people that are rich like that. I have also met people that are filthy rich because they live with an open hand and they can't outgive God. The most generous people I have ever met that just give and give and give and give and bless and bless and bless, and God just seems to keep just giving because he knows that, someone that is like that is Rick Warren. Has anyone heard of the Rick Warren Purpose Driven Life book? It's the #1 selling book other than the Bible of all time. You know how much money that is? He believes God gave him the inspiration to write the book Purpose Driven Life because he said, Lord, I can see that this is going to be a good book. I give all the proceeds away. And he never kept any of the proceeds. And I just find that just fascinating. I find that fascinating. We have to be careful, Christians. We want our cake and eat it too. We want to have the deep knowledge of God and to be known by him, but yet to be guaranteed success, safety, and well-being on this planet. God has never guaranteed that. God is always on an eternal realm. He's always thinking eternally. I'll close with this, with the lyrics of an old song called I'd Rather Have Jesus. And when I read this, I want you to think to yourself, would I really rather have Jesus? Me personally, would I rather have Jesus? And it says this. And this song is awesome because it doesn't leave any of us untargeted, right? Because you might say, well, I don't struggle with wealth. I don't struggle with wanting more money, right? Okay, good for you. But do you struggle with wanting to be known for being successful or known for being a hard worker, right? I haven't met a New Englander who doesn't want to be known for being tough. I got big bootstraps. Geez, she went through the winter of '89. She was rugged, We want to be known as tough, right? Or maybe you want to be known as a Christian who is a certain way, right? Like this song doesn't leave any of us uncovered. Would you rather have Jesus than your children? Would you rather have Jesus than your good little marriage? Would you rather have Jesus than your good little ministry in church? Jesus is to be supremely worshiped and supremely wanted, desired, and honored. And it says this. I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be his than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than houses or land. I'd rather be led by his nail-pierced hand than to be the king of a vast domain and to be held in sin's dreadful sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. I'd rather have Jesus than worldly applause. I'd rather be faithful to his dear cause. I'd rather have Jesus than worldwide fame. Yes, I'd rather be true to his holy name than to be the king of a vast domain and to be held in sin's dreadful sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. To bring it full circle, Why is it a travesty in this Ecclesiastes book, right? He says he's seen a great witness, a great evil, he said, to have money. It's because this. When you have enough and you can afford it, it's really hard to have faith in something bigger than yourself. Hear what it says. I'd rather have Jesus than be caught in sin's dreadful sway. We as Christians love to point at sins that aren't a sway. We love to point at sins that are a slam. And we think because we're not being slammed, we're not caught in the sway, right? But these words are very pungent. Sway, right? And then it says, I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. That's our problem, is we can afford it. I can't see anyone in my view right now that doesn't know where their meal's coming from at lunch or at dinner, or doesn't know where they're going to sleep tonight. You can afford so much. And what happens is when you can, you begin to rely on your own self. And your faith becomes diminished in a God that's greater than you, bigger than you, that is to be honored and glorified. And it's easy just to fall down that path. Can I look in the Bible? Can I look in the mirror and say, I'd rather have Jesus than this ministry? I'd rather have Jesus than my wife who's next to me. I'd rather have Jesus than friends and food. I'm writing my own song right now. This is about Marcus, right? I'd rather have Jesus than friends or food. I'd rather have Jesus than good times, right? That's me. I'd love for you to go home, Google, I'd rather have Jesus, and come up with your own version for you. I'd rather have Jesus than what? Fill in the blank. Secure health. That's one I don't struggle with. My wife wishes I'd worry more about my health. I just never have. I can't control it, so I'm like, why try? That sounds stressful, right? I love it. One time I said this. It says a drink of nachos feels better than skinny feels. That was my favorite T-shirt. My wife didn't like that I liked that T-shirt, but I thought it was cool, right? But maybe yours is about secure health. Maybe you do worry about your health. Maybe yours is about secure finances. Maybe it's you're worried that your kids won't grow up and do what you want them to do, i.e. be successful, not do anything crazy, go to the right college, and be on their own. It's very interesting for me to watch someone try to do that to a kid. 9 times out of 10, I don't know if you've watched, when a parent tries to get a kid to do what they think is right, the kid at about 16, 17 is like, peace out. I ain't doing any of that. And they go, right? And then I was like, wow, okay. Maybe you shouldn't have squeezed them so hard. But what is it? I'd love for you to go back, Google that song, and write your own. Jesus, this morning, I actually, Lord, did not want to preach this. This is hard for me to preach. I feel awkward and clunky because it's the truth. And there's so many things that are good that I'd rather have than you. I admit that. By the power of your Holy Spirit, reveal that in my life to me. Reveal it in the lives of these people that are sitting here. What is it that they'd rather have? God, help us to stop being distracted by these things that we wouldn't, Lord, there's a lot of us sitting here that we wouldn't rather have, something else that the neighbor would rather have. And we're stuck looking at them going, their faith is horrible, they haven't done this or whatever, and all the while we're missing what we put in front of you. So give us, God, by the power of your Holy Spirit, the ability to see what we would put in front of you. Thank you for this morning in this space and Loon Mountain Ministry, Loon Mountain Resort, Waterville Valley that's happening today, Gunstock that's on its way. Pretty cool, God, that we get to be a part of this. We love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Please feel free to join us in singing How Great Thou Art.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God His Son not sparing sent Him to die, I scarce can take it in that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, He bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, my joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon.